Welcome to another G4 Guitar Teacher Hangout. What we're going to do today is our normal Q&A format, and I've got David here with me from California, Orange County, California. So David, I'll just obviously start with you because you're the first one here.
Okay.
So yeah, what would you like to talk about today? Any questions, topics that you want to discuss?
Sure, I've got a couple of questions here. One would be seasonality of student enrollments or student inquiries. Because I've hit a bit of a dry spell at the moment. I'm still pushing through it. Anyway, that's one of them. The other one, maybe more at a technical level, depending on how people join us, is about the new website. And also the what you mentioned about the tracking and the conversions aspect using the new thing. Because what those are the two questions I had. And then I had some additional information I saw from last week's one about the thumbtack topic you covered last week. I had some additional info there on that which I could offer as well.
Fantastic. All right, so we'll do that as well. Yeah, we'll jump into that straight. Okay, we've got Stu's tuned in. Stu, have you got any topics, questions you want to go through today?
Maybe the last hangout that I was in, Joachim was talking a bit about time management, and you mentioned something about like A, B, C, D lists, and you were also talking like things about like emails and like generally when I sort through emails, I'm sorting through them, out of my inbox, and from the impression, and when I do Facebook and things like that, I do the same thing. The impression I got from you is that that isn't the way that you do it at all. You sort of take what you need to do, make a list, and prioritize when you need to do it. So yeah, just talking about just time management and ideas like that would be great.
Excellent. Okay, no worries. Time management, prioritizing, etc. And so yeah, basically what I was talking about was the FileMaker platform, which is what hopefully will be ready to go by the end of the year, and it should make things a lot easier for you. It's really about managing your business, everything that we want to do, and my role is to keep making it easier and keeping you guys on track. And you see David's been speaking about how he's going through the eMyth program, and talking about a lot to him, which is what they're all about, which is great, is systems and having systems for doing things. So every time that we're working through something, if we're doing it again and again and again, we see there's a repetition here. We really need to have a system, and each time we improve on that system. So we're looking always to tweak our system. So I'll go into that anyway in a few minutes. I'll jump into David's topics. I'll jump into one of David's topics, then we'll come to that, and then we'll come back to David. So we'll do it, sort of bounce it around.
Sure.
All right, so we'll first of all, David's first question was about seasonality. How does that affect the business? What kind of things should we look for, trends? Now, it's going to be a little bit different in the US to Northern Hemisphere to Southern Hemisphere, because in Australia we sort of clump everything together. So we our Christmas, our holidays, everything is all at that one time of year, from mid-December through to the end of January. So we have one kind of full-on hot, long summer vacation, whereas you guys kind of have two situations. You have Christmas, that sort of end of the year whole thing going on, and then you have the school start and finish of the year. So it creates a kind of a different scenario, which from where I'm standing, I'm probably not going to be able to offer you a lot of help just yet now, but as I learn more about it and become more aware of it, I will. But I can give you definitely general advice and things to look for during holiday times. One of the things about holidays that I decided was that they were too long. There's too many of them, and it's just not the way that people become good at things. If you want to become good at just about anything, having lots of holidays throughout the year is not really beneficial. And holidays, if we look at holidays from the point of view of kids going to school, well, kids are kids, and kids need time to play, they need time off. They're not adults, and they need to have that. I know when I was a kid, things are relative as well. A year for a child is a long time. A year for us just flies by. It's like, wow, we're already into 2015. Like we're getting towards the end of the year already, and it's just crazy. But for when you remember when you were 6 or 7, it's like Christmas. That's like forever. So kids need those breaks, and it's very necessary, and I'm glad that they're there and that we give those to kids. But as far as guitar is concerned, the holidays are sometimes the best time for them to be doing guitar lessons and to be working on their guitar, because during the school terms they're quite busy, and sometimes it's hard for them to sort of manage everything, especially young kids, to sort of balance their whole life, and their parents are running around if they've got 2 or 3 kids and trying to keep it all going. Whereas in the holidays things are a bit more relaxed. We're talking about a half-an-hour lesson once a week, so they've got all the holidays. And famous statement from kids is always, "I'm bored." I'm bored, Mum. And that's in holidays, they're hanging around twiddling their thumbs. So to stop the lessons in holidays, to me, is just crazy, because it's something that they can do that'll give their parents a little bit of time out and give them something to sort of refresh them through the holidays. Plus, they've got all that time to practice and to get right into doing more. And so I actually worked it out. I did this little kind of, and I got it from another teacher. And I also, if you go to Japan and spend time in Japan and places like Korea, you understand why the kids there do so well in terms of things like music or sports or other things. The things that they do really well. And one of the reasons is that all the kids, they don't have a lot of holidays, and all the kids do activities during the holidays that help towards their education. So they don't just stop everything like we do. And so we kind of have this mentality that we really need that time off, and even kids. But kids are learning; they're very active, and they're looking for things to do. You leave a child with nothing to do for long, you'll know about it. They'll be snapping at your ankles, getting you to say, "Go on, give me something to do." So I think a lot of the time there's this automatic thing from parents, especially, to stop lessons in holidays, as if that's our culture and that's the way it should be. But it is an automatic response, and it's one that if we can show them not to do that, in other words, if you're going away for a holiday, great, understand that, see you later, have fun. But very few people and families go away every single holiday and go away for the entire holiday, because it's not possible usually. There's one of the parents or both the parents are working, so they don't have that ability. So again, coming back to the calculation that I did, working out what the difference is between kids who take all the holidays and the kids who don't. So I worked it out that you've got about 12 weeks a year, and that doesn't count public holidays if you teach on a public holiday, or long weekends when they go away for a long weekend. So we're talking 12 weeks a year. If we sort of allowed a couple of weeks for Christmas and for that break and a holiday, and maybe if they go on a camp or something, some of them go longer, I understand that. But if we just start with that 2 weeks off a year, and we say, okay, there's 10 weeks a year that they'll still be having guitar lessons. There's also 10 weeks that they'll still be practicing, because I can almost guarantee you in most cases when they stop the lessons, they stop the practice unless they're very self-motivated and enthusiastic, which is, it happens, but it's going to happen a lot less when they're not coming in those holiday times. So we've got 10 weeks there a year, which is, we're looking at 20% of the year. But then we also have what I call the lead-in times and lead-out time. In other words, that when someone comes back from holidays, the first week they're back is a bit of sort of saying, well, okay, where are we up to? Let's get back on track. Let's get you back into the practice routine. And if kids aren't into that routine, then it will take them a week. The first week back, they often say, oh, I didn't get, because I had this on, I had that on, all these things happening. And often it coincides with school when they've got lots of other things going on. And then when you go to the other side, when they know that last lesson, they're not coming the week after, then they sort of don't worry so much in that last week. We remember our days at school when we know it's the final weeks of school. We get a bit lazy. Even the teachers have got lazy. They didn't give us any work to do. So we've got those weeks either side. Now, if you're talking 4 times a year and you're talking an extra 2 weeks either side of those 4 times a year, there's another 8 weeks of the year where there's what I would call lazy practice. So we've got now something like 40% of the year, which is not very productive. So you compare that to a student who does actually do that practice and is there and participates, you will see a dramatic difference in their progress. So in that first year, the student who's there right through, already they're 40% ahead. In the second year, they're practically twice as far ahead. And there's also the momentum, the inertia, There's the the motivation, the confidence building. If I'm learning with my friend, and my friend is learning at a 40%, doing 40% more practice and so forth, my friend is going to build confidence. I'm going to start to look at myself going, oh, I'm no good, he's really good, or she's really good, therefore I'm going to quit. And that's what happens, and I saw it. I used to see this where I'd see students progressing at different rates, and often it was the difference in other factors before I sort of understood the holiday thing, but it was factors like parents being more supportive towards their children learning, helping them at home, and you can see them getting ahead, and you see the other kids who are not keeping up losing confidence and falling behind. So by having this level of practice or routine where the holidays, we sort of convince parents that, hey, it's only half an hour a week. It's not 6 hours a day at school, 30 hours a week. This is only half an hour a week. So there's no need to be breaking in the holidays. So that's my take on the holidays. So, but obviously this question of seasonal could lead into more areas such as marketing and sales. So do you have any specific questions, David, around that, so I can jump into those?
No, I mean, one thing I've noticed this summer, I've lost a couple of students for the summer that haven't come back, but they are on the bleeding edge of, on the edge of the most likely to quit, so to speak, because the practice sort of, it wasn't a surprise. Most of the guys I've got have kept going through the summer, and the practice has been pretty good. In fact, in some areas, some people actually have done more practice in the summer, and as a result, they've now moved themselves ahead. They've actually completed the checklist and now moved on. So that's all good. One thing I have noticed here is the seasonality from a marketing point of view. And I'm not sure whether it's in California or quite what, because so the kids have just gone back to school. And looking at this time last year, it was about the same period of time where the new students started to inquiries started to come through maybe around end of September, beginning of October, something like that, where I think the parents have got an idea of what the school year looks like and what they want to do with it. It's just really a question of actually mentally pushing through this dwell time, August and September, and before, continuing with the flyers, continuing with the AdWords, continuing the expense with nothing coming in, trying to push through that, knowing it's going to come out on the other side. That's kind of where I am at the moment.
It's interesting with marketing because it's the old cliche of, I know half of my marketing works, I just don't know which half.
Right.
And that kind of applies to what we're talking about here, is that even though you're marketing, people are still seeing your ads often, and you don't necessarily know whether it's just whether they've seen an ad this week, whether they saw it last week, last month. Sometimes you can ask, and sometimes I'll tell you, of course. Yeah. But generally speaking, overall, it's hard to know, because even sometimes they don't remember. And people make things up. They know this from studies. I'm aware of it as well. Just through different marketing that I've done, where people say, I saw you on, it could be just as an example, but it could be that I saw your ad on Google. Okay, well, I'm not actually advertising that particular ad on Google, so you couldn't have seen it on Google. So I know that what they've done is they've either sent it on Facebook, or they've received a flyer and went and looked it up and thought that they were on Google. So they forget, where they sort of saw your ads. So that's why sometimes it can be a bit hard. But one of the things with marketing is that it is very much an awareness program, and you do want to run it all year round. And when you do run it all year round, you actually get different people, because people go through different kind of cycles and so forth. So where someone who might be, they never check their letterbox during the school terms, but when it comes to holidays, again, the kid's bored, they go to the letterbox to see what's in there, just because they've got time on their hands. So there's different things like that that can occur, and that's why it's really good to market all year round. And it also, you start to see patterns. If you're consistent about things that you do, such as marketing, then you are able to see more patterns occurring over time. So especially over a 5 or 10 year period, you can really start to see peaks and troughs. And even running starting to sort of think about different offers to run at different times. What I did, this is actually before G4 Guitar, but I did it with my Learn to Play music school, and it was very successful. And this is where I originally got this idea for the 5 lessons. I used to do like 4 lessons over the holidays because we had, but basically in Australia in that January period we have a month. December, I would close as well. I'd take that time off, but then from January I had 4 weeks before school started, so I would run a 4 lesson offer for whatever the price was. And that was very successful, and I would do that in the holidays and say to people it's strictly for the holidays. So even if they booked in the last week of the holidays, I'd say this special offer only applies for January, so you can take it up, but you've got to take the 4 lessons in this week before the end of January. So if you know there's a slow period for you, which might be September, then you can do something special there. Maybe add a bonus lesson, maybe throw in a free workshop, or
One thing I've just done, and maybe I just sent a newsletter out to all the previous students that haven't fallen away, and basically I'm offering them actually 6 weeks for $99. They've got the material, but it's only for a period, and it's only for previously enrolled students, so no one else can bounce it around. So I'm trying that because something's better than nothing. And the theory is if I get them back 6 weeks and they come back in, chances are they're going to keep going.
Exactly.
So that went out yesterday, and I think I've about 30% have seen it so far.
Excellent, excellent. So, and they're the kind of things you want to do. Yeah, and looking just for ways. You could even do, of past students, just say, look, during this week, it could be the first week of September, I'm doing a free assessment for past students to see whether how you're going, how your progress is going, and something like that. There are lots of different things you can do, but just looking for ways to use that time. I actually used to really enjoy the holiday periods because it was I felt I was more creative in that time because there was this sort of drop away of your normal students, and it freed me up to sort of say, okay, well, I'm going to try and do a few different things now, just experiment with ideas. So yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. Okay, so I'll move on to Stu next. So basically with the time management, what I was talking about, I'll just go on to that just as the email for an example, because there's a couple of different things that we can talk about in time management. I think the underlying thing that we need to do with all of our business is we need to be really well organized. We sometimes get caught up, and if we find that we're busy doing lots of different things, juggling lots of different balls, and feeling like we're always falling behind or not organized, that's when our business will start to fall apart. We will start to see the problems. So number one is to be organized, and if that means eliminating projects that you're working on, eliminating things that you're doing, somehow you need to focus on doing that. Now I've always pretty much always worked with lists. There have been times when I haven't worked with lists, and those times I found I was least productive. Working with lists have made it easy for me because I can, like I said, I can work through the list. And one of the things about lists, which I found really interesting, is that often by having a list, I put things on a list, and then I feel satisfied. There's this kind of idea of satisfaction, because often what I put on the list is not that important, not that necessary. But when I don't have a list and something comes up, I feel like, I better do this now, otherwise I'll forget about it. But if I put it on my list and I forget about it, it probably wasn't that important in the first place, especially if I didn't put it as an A priority. So to me, that's one of the biggest powers of keeping a list, keeping a to-do list, is that it gives you that ability to sort of get things off your chest and not feel like you're carrying all this weight around all the time with you. Now, just as an example with the emails, I don't know how many emails you get a day, but let's say I get about 80 to 100 emails a day. And so from those emails, a certain amount are obviously ones that are just marketing or advertising or newsletters, and so I try and eliminate them. I set up filters within Gmail to get rid of certain emails. So if I like a particular newsletter and I don't want to unsubscribe, then what I'll do is but I don't want it coming up on my email every day. What I'll do is I'll put it onto I'll put a filter on it, and then I'll filter it out as a marketing email. And then when I feel like learning something, which is every day, but I like to pick and choose what I want to learn. What I do is then I can go to that list, which is behind the scenes. This is within Gmail, so I'm not putting it onto any other list. I'm just still keeping within Gmail with a tag on it. And so then I can actually look at it then. And I can, even if I get an email come through and I say, you know, I want to have a look at that later, I can tag it as well, and it'll still go into that list, which I can look back later. So that's with Gmail. And if you can set up filters, it's really good. There's lots of things you can add filter to. If you don't know how to do Gmail filters, very easy. Just go and look it up on Google, and it will tell you. Now, the other thing which I've creating for this FileMaker platform is that it will, the dashboard, which is where you're going to kind of start. This will be a central command. The dashboard has basically a layout that allows you to, if you get something come through on an email and you want to be able to follow up on that item. Let's say somebody has emailed you saying, I saw your flyer. Now that would be considered an inquiry. I saw your flyer. I'd like to find out more about the lessons. And you're busy at that point, or you're just trying to get through your email so you don't have this big cluttered email box. Then what you can do with that one is you can go and put it on your to-do list, and you can mark it as an A priority. And you can even put a follow-up date, which could be today. So that way you can sort it in the follow-up date, you can sort it in priority. Just a click of a button, it will sort it straight away for you. And so that allows you to start working with your priorities. And I've set it up so you're not going to have a lot of priorities. So you don't want to have A to Z sort of thing. You just want to have 5 priorities, let's say. And so your A and even your B, your A is something that needs to be done really today. It shouldn't be something you're leaving more than a day. Whereas your B are things that need to be done fairly quickly, but they don't necessarily need to be done today. They can wait till tomorrow or the day after. So that's the way I look at it. And then your C's are things that you really want to do. They're things that you don't want to forget about, but they're not priority. So in other words, they don't need to be put in that A, B category. Things that are on D are things that you would like to do, but you can take them or leave them. They're not that necessary. And your E list is really just for things that you don't need to do, and you may never need to do, but you're still not ready to throw them in the garbage yet. You still kind of think, I'm not too sure, so you can throw it on your E list for something that you check later. And the breakdown of it really would be that your A list you need to clean off every day. Your B list needs to be cleaned off by the end of the week. Your C list is something that you need to check and clean off once a month, so there shouldn't be any C's that roll over into the next month. And then your D list can be something that you can check. Your D and your E list you can check quarterly. So that's just an idea. You can work it out how exactly you want to do it, but you need to set up that routine that makes sure that things are being done in that way. And then you can even have what's called a delegation list, and that's a list of things that you want someone else to look after. And that's later when you get an employee. These are the kind of things you want to do. You also might want to have what's called a systemized list, and that's where that you have things that you're going to systemize. So that's something that you're going to create a system for, and then it's going to either get automated through some kind of electronic system or through somebody else doing it. So for example, with the websites, where we're upgrading all the websites, as we speak right now, Size is finishing off doing the updates, and it should probably be another week or so to do that. And what I did initially is I spent quite a few hours working out the system. If I had to go through and do all the websites, it would have taken me 2 or 3 weeks to get them all done, and probably longer because I don't have the time to just focus on that. I've got other things to do as well, such as being here. So what I did is just spent time to do it, to systemize it, which takes 3 or 4 times longer than just to do it myself. But once the system's in place, then I could give it to Sizer, and then she can do all the other 40, 50 websites. So the more you do that, and this is really, again, what David's going through is the process of somebody getting him to do the systems. It's boring, it's it's not sexy, it's not exciting, but it's the thing that will make your business operate and free up your time. Every system you build, ideally, should be for something that you have to do repetitively. When I see people paying their bills at the post office, it's like, what are you paying your bills at the post office for? Oh, that's what you do. No, that's what you do. What you should be doing is having auto pay, so it just automatically comes out of your account, and you can check that. But the idea is that anything in your life that you can systemize, and I'm just talking about from your business point of view, I'm talking about anything that can be systemized, and you should definitely build a system for it and get it done. Because really the power of successful people is the ability to systemize. It's the ability to give something to someone else to get done. So, Stu, I'll let you jump in now. Did you want to sort of get into some more specifics?
No, not really. That pretty much does cover it. I figured that was what you were. That's what you were meaning. So yeah, no, that's all good.
Cool. Well, see, I'll add one more thing to it. The FileMaker platform that I'm building at the moment, I'm going through it in such a way that I'm putting in a new customer inquiry, and then I'm going through the process. So I'm walking through it as if I'm you guys sitting right where you are, and I'm doing that now at the moment about 20 times a day. And so that process is letting me go, oh, I don't quite like that button, or that's slowing me up, or that doesn't quite look right. So I go through the process each time, and it's the same way that I did the method. Is I went through the process many times, both from a student and from a teacher, because each time you go through it, you find something else that you want to tweak, something that needs a little bit of changing. And even now, it never stops. It's a never-ending process. But the idea is it gets to a point where it's good. It's good enough, and then to a point where it's better than good enough, to where it's really good, and you keep sort of moving up through those layers. And if you look at, I think a good analogy is something like Apple. If you look at the Apple iPhone 6, which has just been released, it's got this new touch, almost like it can sense pressure, how hard you're pressing, and now it's got that extra layer of functionality because of that. And if you look at the way that the iPhone has evolved, each time they're looking at improving it. The first one that came out, people go, wow, this is great. And then the second one, wow, this is even better. And then the third one, I can't believe this can do this now. And then each time they come up with something new, and iPhone 7 will do the same. And I can guarantee you they're working on iPhone 7 as we speak. So each time so that's the great thing about systems, is when you develop systems, then you can fine-tune them. You can keep improving them. The Apple iPhone is a system. It's all a built-in system. And so everything you do within your business, if you create that system, then it's really just a matter of tweaking it and improving it. Okay. All right. So David, I might just get you to throw in something here, because I know that you're fairly thorough with especially keeping stats and marketing. Do you have a system for tracking stats?
Yes. I mean, I wouldn't call it an automated system, but basically I run everything in Google Docs, so everything's in one place. And basically, as soon as I get an inquiry, as soon as something happens, I know what action. So as soon as something happens, I get a phone call, whatever it may be. The next action is I go to the sheet and log in. I've got 2 or 3 sheets, and that's it. And I just keep that up to date, and then I've got a tickler like once every month or so to go in and update the money and the stats and stuff like that. So not automated, not a database, but Google Docs is great for that.
Okay.
The other thing I found, which is really good, is in Gmail. I use a lot of the canned responses. For confirmations, follow-ups, and stuff like that. So it's a slam dunk. As soon as something happens, you drop in and do that, and it takes care of itself. And then
I noticed they improved that recently too. Now it puts in the subject as well.
Oh, really? Okay, I haven't seen that. I need to check that out, because previously you gave a canned response a title, but then you just had to. I need to look at that. So that's really what I use, and that's about it. But it works.
Okay, cool.
It's pretty low maintenance, really.
Excellent. So you think about an email. I'll just run you quickly through this process. If you enroll a new student, what you're doing now, I imagine, is you've got a template, maybe a canned template. Is that right? for a new enrollment? Okay, and so that goes onto the email, and then what do? Fill in their name and their lesson details?
Yeah, I mean, basically, name, date, time, email address, that's it.
Okay, all right. So, and I did show the guys, but while I've got you here, I'll just show you this quickly. So I'm going to share the screen. Hopefully you'll be able to see this all right. Tell me when you can see the screen.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, cool. So this is imagine that I've got you now on the phone and you're a new student, and what I do is that first thing I'll do is go under new and click student, new student, and then the first thing it's going to ask me is the marketing. Where did you come from? And maybe I know, maybe I don't know at that point, but if I don't know, I can always just guess or put in, I don't want to guess, but I can put in something like don't know at this stage, because you have to put something in under marketing, and that's the reason for that is to ensure that you're tracking your marketing.
Right.
So put in mail, and now I know, as I'm putting your details in, David Minns, your name, I can put in your date of birth. I'll just say the 1st of the 1st, I don't know when you're born, I'll just say same as me, 66. And then put in your phone number. I can put in your email. Just hang on one sec, and I can actually do this where I get your email. Okay, no, I won't it'll take a bit of time, but let's just imagine your email's in there. Now I can go down here. So if let's just say you're a child and your mother, his name's, I'll make up a name, Jane. But if it's not your mother, let's just say it's your grandmother who looks after you. So I can put in grandparent there. And then I can second contact details there, and then on the other side, at the first status, you're an inquiry. So at this point, you're just inquiring about lessons. So I've just got your basic details, and even if I don't get your last name and I don't get all your details, so I just get your name, your phone number, and email address, that's fine. It'll automatically populate things like location. It'll put you in as a student, etc., and then set you as an intro student. Now, if you do happen to book in, then I can change the status. I can say you're booked. And there's a difference between booked and intro. Booked means that you haven't paid, where intro means you have paid.
Right.
So I put you in as booked, and then what happens is that I put the start date. So we might say that you're starting on Tuesday, the 15th, in there. And if you don't know the time at this point, you don't have to put that in there either. You can leave that. And then if we have a lesson time here, 12 p.m. And then there might be a payment option, such as you're paying just for the intro, or you're paying monthly or half yearly or annually. You can have those choices there. And then that's finished. So now I've got all your details on a card. And so what I want to do now is go to the timetable and find a time for you. So I'll go here, and what I can do is look up all the available times. So the yes over here by the green ones along this thing give me the available times that are on Monday, Tuesday. Like the first one is all available times, and then it's the day. So if you say to me, I'm only available on Tuesdays, then I can have a look here what's available on Tuesday, and you can choose what's available. So if you don't want this 7:30 p.m. time to show, you can just click hide there and hide it away, so it won't come up when you click that day in the future. So you can hide whatever time. So you're only showing the times that you really have available for lessons. And so what will happen at that point is that, let's just say here you decide you're going to come at 2 o'clock. So I can just click over here and I can see your name in the list. I don't know if you can see that on the screen share. Yeah. So there you are there. And now by clicking this little face circle here, I can go back to the contact card, which has got you in it. Now, so what happens now is that if I go, I'll just sort of get out of there, I'll go to someone else. Just let me put in, sorry. I'll find someone else. So I'll find my brother here who I enrolled as a kind of temporary student. So I want to find Steve here on the timetable. So I click on the timetable icon, and it finds him. I've got him in 3 places, 3 different classes, and that's why 3 lines appear. So I can find him there. Now, if I want to go to this student, George Smith Jones, then all I have to do is click on them and then click that face, and it'll take me back to George on the contact. So can you see the power of that? Makes it very easy for me to get from them on the timetable and them within the contacts. Now, from where you're at, let's just go back to you for a minute. So I can type in here and search for you. There you are. And then what I can do from that point is I can again go and look for you on the timetable, which is here. There you are there, 2 p.m. And then I can go back to the contact page. Hang on 1 second. No records found. Okay, the reason that said no records found, by the way, is because I didn't actually click on you. I have to click on you there and then click on that face, and then it brings you up. Now, so let's just say you've enrolled, you're ready to go, and now I need to send you a confirmation email. So instead of the usual thing that before where you have to go and manually put in, all I need to do now is click confirmation over to the right here, that blue icon. Clicks there, it creates an email, it fills the fields in, and I can even change things from here. I can change the date, the starting date, the time, the teacher, and so it populates that email straight up. And then if you want to put in comments here, whatever you want to say, you know, don't forget whatever, and that'll also add that to the email. It also populates a map down here of your location where you are. And then what happens is that I can now hit the icon here. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but basically it creates the email, adds a PDF, adds the subject, and it's just ready to go. All I have to do is send via my Apple Mail, and you're done. And we can make emails for everything. So all different kinds of emails, whatever you want for to send out.
Dave, when you said it goes to PDF, when you commit and it goes to email, this will populate as text in an email with a PDF attachment. Yes.
Yeah. You can. What happens is that in the email it will have a text that it'll put in the subject, which will say, in this case, I'll tell you what I put in there in a minute. It says G4 guitar lesson confirmation. Please see PDF attached. But then in the email itself it says, for important details about your lesson booking, please open and read the attached PDF. So it contains it all within the PDF.
Okay, so it doesn't render the text of the email actually in the email. They have to open the attachment to get that.
That's right. And if you do want to do that for some reason, then you can open the PDF and copy it and paste it into the email if you want to.
Right.
That
Okay.
way.
It's just another step for them to do. Okay.
If you want to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, because it gives it looks better. It looks nicer. But the other thing, if you want to just render it into an email, then there is another way that you can link it up to like Pages, where you can do it as well. So.
Okay.
See, because it also depends on the email system that you're using. If we did it that way, then it'll work on some people's emails and it won't work on others. Also, sometimes the links don't work and other things. So yeah. Okay.
So the actual application itself will be based on the email client that the school is using.
Yeah. Each one could be adjusted to the client, but if you have the other thing that it can do is that if you don't have Apple, which is what it's set up for, and you don't have MacMail, I'm sure it'll work on other formats as well. But if you don't have those, then the PDF will go to your desktop, and then you just create the email and attach the PDF to the desktop, or copy the information from the PDF to there. It's an extra step. I mean, most of the guys got Macs now. What do you use?
Me, I everything's in Gmail for me.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So you could easily just attach to the Gmail, like just attach the PDF straight to to Gmail. Okay. And there might be another way to do it as well. So yeah. so we can have a look at that. So really, I mean, initially it's going to be Mac friendly, which FileMaker has always been. They've been pro Mac. So
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there is another possibility as well. I mean, most people are online these days, but the other possibility is that you could throw it up online, so that you just send them a link. So go here for your lesson confirmation details. So you could take the same stuff and put it online. But this is good because these are all the questions I'm going to be asking of you guys. What things do you want it to do? And how far can we take it to see what? Because it's a very powerful program, and most things I've found can be done within it. You just got to work out how to program it to do it. But that's just one feature of it. But just to sort of take it another step further is that first of all, the main thing that I wanted to get, because these were the things that troubled me, and that was getting from you between your contacts and your timetable. And you want to be able to find your students quickly and easily, and you want to be able to find times. So when you've got someone on the phone and they're sort of saying, well, what times you've got available, you want to be able to quickly go to your timetable, and you want to say, well, here are the times I've got. And then, if they say I'm available on a Wednesday, you can click Wednesday and see exactly what you've got available, see what you've got on Saturday. You can also put in, just to add this, you can, with each, let's just say a teacher, if I want to, there's a little magnifying glass next to the teacher there. If I click on that and then I choose the teacher, I want to see, this particular teacher's students and their timetable. I can just go like that and click that, and that'll show me his timetable. I can also go to due dates, so I can put in the date in here of when they're due to pay, generally for your intro students. So I can click there, and that'll show me in order, with the red ones being overdue, the orange being due this week, and the blacks being not due yet. So that sort of breaks that down. Other things like the level, if I just want to see, junior ones, because I'm looking for a class for junior ones, so I can click on that and go, okay, well, I've got 3 classes for J1s here. If you want to tag particular students as well for some reason, maybe you tag them because they're interested in a particular style of music, or they're interested in a certain workshop. So you've got a whole bunch of tags here you can add to them, so it helps you to just find those particular students. So yeah, so that's some of the things. And then of course this is all going to branch out into the marketing, to where you put in how much you spend in marketing in a particular month, how many flyers you did, inquiries, intros, and then it will give you your conversion rates. It'll also allow you to do things like, which is the next step. I haven't done a lot here yet, but things like looking at the status summary, looking at the status of the students. So I've got 1 current, 1 intro, 3 booked, and 7 inquiries. So I know what the status of that. And the idea is that, are you familiar with Salesforce, David?
Yeah, but I haven't touched it for some time, but I'm aware of it. Yeah. You're
kind of aware. Okay, just so you know what it is. Basically, the idea is that when you have an inquiry come through, so here you come through as an inquiry, your status initially would be just an inquiry. But if I think that you're interested, like you're more than just a basic inquiry. An inquiry to me is someone who might email you, but you haven't actually spoken to yet. Mm-hmm. Until you've spoken to them, you don't know what level of interest they are. So an inquiry is anyone that you haven't actually spoken to on the phone as such, or had some communication with. But once you speak to them, you can then say, well, this person's interested. They're not overly keen, but they're interested. Or you can put them as a prospect. This is someone who's keen, and I need to follow up on. And that way you divide the two, from interested to prospect. And if you've got prospect, then to go to your prospects first. And that way you can do that as well in the marketing list here, where it actually will sort them. So I can go along the bottom here and I can say, well, I just want to look at the prospects. So you're there. Or I want to look at who's booked, so I can follow up on payments. Or I just want to see how many inquiries I've got, people who I haven't yet spoken to. Mm-hmm. So you can categorize them all, and of course you can show them all as well. So So yeah, so they're the kind of things, and the idea is that we want a system, and that's why I'm putting this together. We want a system that's going to make the process of you to be able to grow your business. The old cliche of planning for success is really critical in building your business. If your business I've experienced this many times throughout my business career, where I get to a point where I don't want to grow anymore because I've got enough work to do. I really don't want to grow anymore, and that's a wall that I hit many times, and it's a good wall to hit. But you can't get stuck there, and you need to build and plan for growth. And what this is a timetable or a solution to managing 100 or more students. Whereas your current solution of using Google Docs and a spreadsheet for your timetable is fine if you've got 20, 30, maybe even 50 students. But once you get beyond that, it becomes tedious and slow. Right. So yeah, so we want this. See, the thing with this is that it runs remote online. So basically, it's online. It's backing up online all the time, but it runs on your desktop. So that way, it's quick. You can see I was moving between screens quickly. I wasn't waiting for the internet to catch up all the time, and that's really important. That it's fast. Okay, cool. So let's go to your other question here, David. You had talking about the new websites and how they're going to work and what they're going to be able to do for you. So the new websites, what I really like about the back end of this, and I'm going to have a whole session on it soon. Once Size has got everybody up and running, and then you guys have had a chance to log in and at least have a quick look. The idea is that is to be comparing different web pages, different forms, so that you might have one form that says free copy of the G4 guitar method. Another form might say free trial lesson. And so what you do is you can, just as an example, you can run an A/B test with those, and what it'll do every one it'll switch, and you can even set it things like at what point, after 50 people see it, after 100 people see it, after 20 form fills, at what point do you want to call a winner? And that way it'll then default to the winner and stop showing the other one. And so it makes it very easy to A/B test things, and you can make small tweaks, have two forms that look almost identical, but maybe change the picture or change the text slightly, and then just keep working on that. Now, obviously, for me to do that by myself would take a lot of time and a lot of work. So the idea is to teach you guys how to do it. So I'll be doing some testing, but if you guys want to do your own testing as well, then once you know how, it'll be very easy for you to get in there and try different things.
Okay. Is there anything, because I check on my website, on the admin console a couple of times a week or so or whatever, and what I would find interesting at the moment was I see I get a number of hits, but I don't know if those hits come in and go straight out again, or whether they come in and actually click through the website, so to speak. So the bounce rate versus the click-through rate. So people come in, quick look at the website and go, oh, no, don't like this, and they close out. Or they click the website and go, oh, this is interesting, but let me go and look at the testimonial site.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to correlate that I'm trying to make some kind of correlation between flyer distribution, my AdWord distribution and click-through, and then also hits to the website, and make some kind of, just to better understand the audience, and is the website appealing? Does somebody click on it and go away, or do they click on it and they actually interact with it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. The problem with that on your scale is I think you're going to do a lot of work for a little result. And I know it, everything you read and the advice that you often get is to do these kind of things. You can put what do they call them? Page sensors or heat sensors. Heat mapping, so you can see it where people sort of move their mouse and that. But those things are really designed for websites to get like hundreds of thousands of hits, because they really are looking for trends. When you're working on such small numbers, the information can be very, very hit and miss. Sure. And so I wouldn't necessarily go to that trouble for if you're getting 10 or 20 hits a day, it's still not enough to really do it, to make it worth your time to do all those kind of, get all those calculations, or even to believe them to be accurate. What I would do is just really look at, things like, if you do the A/B testing, then you're really going to compare this with this. So you're starting with things that you know, or you think, or you feel might work, and then what you're doing is you're trying to go, okay, well, which one is going to be the better one? Because you can do those tests on small numbers rather than trying to work out, okay, this person's bounced straight off my website because that person might have come from somewhere else, and so they might have had some other reason. Maybe the phone rang, or so yeah. When you're working in small numbers, it's hard. It's really hard to tell. So, but if you have those A/B testing, then you can keep tweaking, keep improving it, and keep sort of narrowing down to get the best result. And really, on the internet, I've just to give you a quick idea, on my my site for the G4 Guitar Network site, and this is something I haven't tried at you guys yet because I'm still testing, and it's only the results are only just starting to come through. But the form on the side, which is what's on your websites at the moment, I compared the form to the slide-in. Okay, so form versus slide-in. The slide-in is performing twice as much. I'm getting twice as many people filling in the form. So that might have something to do with the fact that it catches their attention as it slides in rather than being stagnant. So that's an interesting test, and it's something that I know that is definitely making a difference on my site. But then again, maybe the people who come to my site are a different kind of person that go to your site. Right. But that's where you'll see. I don't know if you've been into the leads yet, but
yes, I've gone through it a little bit.
Okay, cool. So you can see you can set up different ads or different forms, from pop-ups to slide-ins to actually in the content. So if you start testing them and just see what works, that's the best place to start, I think. I think just start A/B testing those. And see what you get. And because again, it comes down to who goes to our site. We are ideally targeting people that are coming from our marketing. They're the people that you're really interested in, and this is something that, and I put a video up, I don't know if you saw that, from the guy who runs Thrive Themes, and this is something that I've been talking about for a long while, and it's not something that I made up, it's just something that I got through my marketing training that I do. And that is that don't design your website around trying to get SEO searches and these kind of things. And this is what a lot of people do. Design your site to be for your ideal customer. And so even if 99% of people who come to your site click off in 3 seconds, it doesn't matter. As long as that 1% are signing in and staying with you for years. They're the people that you want to capture. And that's what I'm doing, and is working really well with guys like yourself, who, you and Stu, who have been with me for a while, and I hope will stay with me. I'm actually interested in you guys. I'm not interested in guys who want to come and buy, a $100 program and then disappear. I'm not trying to sell $100 programs. I'm trying to help build the network with long-term members. So that's really what you're looking at. You're looking at your flyer, and you're looking at, if you're doing Facebook ads or AdWords ads, you're looking at, are those people converting? Are they going from the flyer to filling in the form to wanting to know more or to making a phone call? That's ideally what you're trying to find. So.
Right. Okay. I'll take another review of the product and get more into it.
Yeah. I'm still learning it as well. So, hopefully, getting you guys involved, you'll be able to get in there and find little things that I've missed and not known. And you've already done that with me, David. Several times you've told me things that I didn't know. So yeah, it's good because I know you're into it. So really good.
Cool. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so just a few more minutes. Stu, did you want to ask another question?
No, I don't think so. I can't really think of anything.
Okay, cool. We're all good to go. From the teaching point of view, are there any questions? David, have you got any questions in regards to your teaching? Is that all sort of running smoothly?
It's okay. I mean, one thing occurred to me this evening. I've still got. I'm still running like 27 students, and another couple of guys hopefully starting next week. But a lot of them are still single. There's some doubles and triples starting to happen. What I am finding is on some of this, which occurred to me today, I've got this one guy, and how do I say it? the amount of detail I'm having to spend. So no, let me rephrase the question. So when you teach someone arpeggio, okay, let's say an A-7 arpeggio, is the consensus we're teaching them the shape, or are we teaching them the arpeggio shape and why it's the arpeggio shape, and the fact we've now moved from a 3-note arpeggio to a 4-note arpeggio, and the G we're including is the flat 7 of the A? How much and obviously in a bigger class you've got less time, but I'm finding with smaller classes, for those that are wanting to know, I'm finding I'm going into that a little bit more than I am with others, but also recognize in a bigger class environment I just won't have time. So my fear is you end up just teaching someone the shape as opposed to teaching someone why it works and how it works. Does that make sense?
Okay, great. Yeah, excellent. Well, this is good because we can sort of tie it back into what we were talking before about systems. If you can see now already that when your class gets to a certain size, you're not going to have time to give them the full message, then what you want to do is make a video and explain in a video what you mean, to go into more detail. And that way you can say to the guys, look, I'm going to give you an introduction today to the arpeggio. This is, say, an A minor arpeggio. It's used on Stairway to Heaven. It's used here, there, and everywhere. But I'm not going to go into great detail, but I want you all to go home and watch this video for me. And you can, I'm thinking as we get further down the line, you can even create questionnaires where they have to fill in the questionnaire, come back to you, and things like that, and say, well, I understand, what are the notes in this arpeggio, or what are the notes in that arpeggio, and then they have to come back and be able to give you the breakdown of it. So that's where we really want to get into extending their lessons beyond. Because my whole goal with G4 always was for them to learn faster than anywhere else. So in other words, by going through our program, talking complete beginner, that they can go from 0 to 100 in 12 months, where most students take 2 years to do that, and it can be done. It's all about systemizing, it's about technology, it's about making things easy. Right. Of course, it takes time to practice and to do things, but the understanding of what they should be doing is just as important, because then they know what they should be doing. So I wouldn't hold back on what you want to offer them, but in the class you want to be thinking of what's the minimum that I can do, and then extend to a bit.
YouTube supplemental video stuff I do is doing really well, so I may just have to sort of make a little twist to that. Okay.
Yeah. The great thing about the YouTube videos too is that they often get shared. Your student, you can make them private if you like, and you can have some that people can see and some that are private and some that are public. But it also gives your students a chance to talk about you and share you. And that's something that often gets undervalued, underestimated, because they want to show you off. A lot of your students, they think you're pretty cool because you're their guitar teacher. So.
Cool. Okay.
All right. Okay, we're done. Any last words there, Stu?
I did have one other topic just to offer.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just to follow up on last week's discussion about the Thumbtack, which was really good and I enjoyed it. The other thing I found in using Thumbtack, for those who are interested in doing it, is that when someone looks at the offer, which you will know, what I found is you have to follow up. As soon as they've seen the offer, you have to send them another email, another message inside Thumbtack saying, thanks for reviewing my offer. If you have any questions, look forward to hearing from you. And I generally follow up twice, and after that I just let it go. But the follow-up, I think every single student I've had has come because I followed up and pushed for a response to the point of all feedback is important to me, good or bad. Please let me know. Okay.
Great, yeah, and I think from memory, Monty said something very similar about the need to follow up, and the need to follow up quickly is really important.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. I literally had a guy view it. I followed up with a phone call, and it was the fastest student I've had. 20 minutes from inquiry to student. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, but follow-up is crucial. You can't just leave it and be passive.
Look, I think this makes a difference generally. One of the things that we were very good at, and Emma was extremely good at, is the follow-up. We would follow up literally. If we missed the call, we would be back on within 10 minutes, because people go cold.
Yeah.
And you've got to get them while they're hot, and you've got to keep them there and go, okay, let's do it. And it really, otherwise they'll ring someone else, because people are excited or want to learn guitar, and then they think, oh, well, these guys haven't responded, or they're looking already for the next guy to ring. So, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Beautiful. Thanks for that. All right. So sounds like Thumbtack is working for some people. I don't know about. I know some of the guys in the country areas, maybe they just don't have the population. I totally get that. But it's definitely working for some of you, which is good news. All right. Thanks, guys. Shall see you next time. Same time, same channel next week if you want to join in.
Yeah, very much so. Great. Thanks, David. Thanks, Phil.
See you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.